Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review live. That's right, everybody. Thanks for checking out the video, and thank you for coming in and checking out the live show here on a Wednesday morning. Sorry for the delay of the weekly comic book review for this week. There were a lot of comic books. A giant stack of comic books, and to be honest with you, it was quite exhausting getting through them yesterday, and I wasn't able to do the video, but I decided, you know what, let's perform it live in celebration of 7 CBC Award nominations this year for Pop Culture Philosophers. We've been nominated for Favorite Channel, for Community Channel of the Year, for Best Collaboration with the Monthly Comic Book Review, Most Comedic Content Creator, Also, we were nominated for Best Ongoing Series for the Weekly Comic Book Review and Best Comic Book Review as well. So y'all go to the cbcawards.org and vote for PCP or whoever else you decide that you want to vote for. Anyway, thank you for helping make us finalists yet again. But now, it's time to get into the pick of the week. That's right, because we always start with the pick of the week, and this week's pick of the week, Universal Monsters Frankenstein, issue number 1. This is from Image Comics, from Skybound to be exact. This is written and illustrated by Michael Walsh, who you will know as the artist and the mastermind behind the horror anthology, The Silver Coin. I'm a big fan of Mike Walsh's artwork, and I love the Universal Monster properties, and this worked for me 100%. Kind of like Dracula, the Dracula by James Tynion and Martin Simmons. That one kind of told a story within the original Universal Monsters Dracula movie. This one's doing the same thing, but for Frankenstein. It focuses in on this kid who has recently lost his father, and his father becomes parts of the Frankenstein monster. Really cool stuff, but the art is what sells it. There is an amazing sense of composition and mood and atmosphere, totally elevated by Toni Marie Griffin on the coloring. There are big, giant moments that we know from the original movie and big moments that are not from the original movie. Really great artwork. I want to show you one page in particular, though. Let me find it right there. I mean, if you're a classic Universal Monsters fan, this book is totally for you. I absolutely loved it. I thought it had like I said, a great sense of pace, a great sense of mood and atmosphere, an excellent composition, and I love the idea of telling a story within the story, and also Henry Frankenstein, because in the Universal Monster movies, if you remember, it's Henry Frankenstein, not Victor, right? But Henry Frankenstein is shown to be way more unhinged than he does even in the movie, the original classic by James Whale. So the pick of the week goes to Universal Monsters Frankenstein. Also from Image, we've got Convert, issue number 1. Great cover right there from, I can't remember that cat's name, but he used to do that book, They're Not Like Us, which I really liked. Another Eric Stevenson book, like Newer Men, that's never going to actually probably finish. Anyway, he doesn't do the interior art, so let's not talk about it too much. All right, John Arcudi, Savannah Finley, Miguel Coe on the coloring. I liked this book. I thought it was pretty solid. So what it is, it's about this dude who's on some kind of like space mission on another planet, right? And his homies are in their capsule, and he's out there like drawing like the plants and the animal life and stuff like that. And then their capsule just blows up, and he's stranded on this planet. So you could make comparisons to things like The Martian, but it's a little bit different. I loved this book. I thought it was really a really solid debut, and definitely worth checking out this week. Then we've got Void Rivals, issue number 12, y'all. The Energon universe still has not let up its hold onto my soul. I absolutely love this book, right? Void Rivals felt like the outlier in the Energon universe. Even though the Energon universe started with Void Rivals, like it felt like the outlier, right? Because it wasn't Transformers, it wasn't G.I. Joe, it was like new characters, a new concept, a new idea, somehow in that universe. No, this is integral stuff, 100%. The ideas that they've been playing around with like Energon and the usage of Energon in this book with these two warring worlds that are trying to keep themselves divided, maybe for a reason. There is a reveal at the end of this issue that had me and my homies at the shop dropping our jaws. Absolutely. If you are a fan of the Energon universe, and if you're a fan in particular of Transformers, and you're not reading Void Rivals, what's wrong with you? You need to check out this issue to see something very exciting for Transformers fans. So, Void Rivals number 12 was great. Speaking of Transformers fans, Skybound has released a facsimile edition of the original Marvel Comics number 1 with that great Bill Sienkiewicz cover. So if you've never gotten a chance to snatch this up, there you go. And yes, it's on a newsprinty type thing. Y'all can hear me, right? Okay, y'all can hear me. Good. Just making sure. All right, then we've got Grommets, issue number 4. Yes, issue number 4 of Grommets. Grommets has been a great slice of life book set in the 1980s. It's about these two kids who are kind of like losers, but still cool at the same time. And I know most of us think that we were slightly losers, but mostly cool. But Grommets is a really great book. And we start getting into a little bit more nuance here, right? The last issue actually made the pick of the week. And the whole point of the issue was about these dudes skipping school, getting high, and going to the arcade. This one has a little bit more story behind it, a little bit more characterization, a little bit more big things going on. The artwork is great. It always is. I have a lot of fun with Grommets. And what I like about it the most is it feels very authentic. It really does. It feels like Brian Posehn and Rick Remender, Brett Parson and company, they lived through this stuff. It feels like this is kind of like their life. This is kind of their jam. I like the artwork. It's got this great cartoony yet very kinetic sense of balance to it. I think Grommets is amazing and one of the best books that's been out for the last few months, including The Sacrificers. The Sacrificers number 11 almost made the pick of the week. This was another solid issue of Rick Remender's The Sacrificers. The artwork by Lima Araujo is great. You know, I was really worried when Max Fiumara was going to step back from this book and have Andre come in, because I thought their styles were a little bit different. And I'm a big Araujo fan, like 100%. Like his book, Generation Gone, he's got this great, like, almost Otomo kind of sensibility. But he actually kind of adopts a little bit of a different style for Sacrificers to make it fit more align with the Max Fiumara stuff. But the story has not relinquished. And this story has been tragic and it has been bold. And this is a really cool book, man. This is about a world in which the gods demand a sacrifice, like a literal sacrifice to keep things going, but the gods are not quite what they seem, and it's a little bit into that political machinations of that, but mostly it's a story about life, and it's a story about rising up and finding your own place, but mostly it's a revenge story against the gods, and it's just really cool stuff. There's a lot of pieces that are out there that are coming together to produce a really exciting flow and thread for this book going forward. Saga number 68. Another solid issue of Saga. Saga's one of those things where every once in a while, they'll give you an issue that blow you away. This is not one of those issues, but it's still an incredibly well-crafted comic book, right? You get just enough of the story, just enough movement, just enough throwback, just enough setup for something new. Really interesting stuff going on in pages of Saga. It's always great when Saga is actually out and on the pull list. So there you go. Saga is out this week. Then we've got King Spawn here with issue number 37. 37 issues of King Spawn in a row? Yes, absolutely. King Spawn number 37 was a solid issue. I've really been liking this book lately. Again, it was one of my favorite Spawn books. Took a little bit of a dip down, but now it's kind of stepping right back up for me. This one is Spawn and Cygor versus these vampires. There's some really great pieces of art. At one point, Cygor is just spinning Al around. He's just shooting up people. Since the post 350 stuff, King Spawn has really solidified a really solid, just super fun book. And Todd's still doing it. Cardstock covers $2.99, including Spawn Kills Every Spawn issue number 2. Just little dumb fun. Not even gigantic moronic splendor, but it's little dumb fun. It's about this little chibi Spawn who decides that he's tired of taking shit as being the worst Spawn. He wants to go out and kill all the Spawns. It's got this like cartoony, almost Scotty Young type approach to the artwork, but I have a lot of fun with it. It's a book that's not taking itself very seriously because this is not a serious book, but it is a fun book and I do enjoy it and appreciate it for that. Then we've got Drawing Blood, issue number 5 of Drawing Blood. This is a book that's already come and gone before. It was published at IDW. I think there was some kind of Kickstarter or something like that. But I didn't read it all when it first initially came out. So now they got the rights back. David Avallone and Kevin Eastman, they're putting this book back out through Image, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's kind of like an autobiographical but fictionalized biography of Kevin Eastman, right? It's about this comic book creator who's made this big brand. They're trying to make a big movie out of it. He's having problems with the Lithuanian mob. He's having problems with substance abuse, and it's really interesting, fun, cool stuff with a lot of like tie-ins to, let's say, like the comic book industry, but also just a really great story and super fun. So I really like that one. Drawing Blood is out this week. Then we've got The Last Mermaid, issue number 6. This is the final issue of The Last Mermaid of this year. I do believe that Derek Kirk Kim is taking a little bit of a hiatus to get the next 6 issues ready and done, so they will be released monthly in 2025. This book has been great. The nuance of this book visually is what really stuns me about this work. There is so much emotion and so much connection that's shown just through the characters, through their faces, through the way they emote with those facial expressions. And it's a simple style of artwork that is glorious. The coloring is always top-notch. The story's really cool. And also, y'all, we got to give it to them. It's the smell of the week. Last Mermaid, number 6, smell of the week, and another fantastic issue. Let's jump over to Marvel. Ugh. Marvel was exhausting this week, y'all. All right, let's get into it. We got Aliens vs. Avengers issue number 1. Much anticipated Aliens vs. Avengers, one could say. Why? Because of that creative team. It's Jonathan Hickman. It's Asad Ribic. Is that how you say his name? I'm just going to keep going with that until somebody tells me otherwise. Maybe it's like Ribich or something. Maybe it's not Ribich. Anyway, Aliens vs. Avengers. This was all right. This wasn't bad. It was okay. To be honest with you, an Aliens vs. Avengers book doesn't sound that super appealing to me. Hickman and Ribich on there sounds really exciting to me, right? And I thought the book was good. It's got some really interesting concepts that Jonathan Hickman is playing with. Do not be fooled by the cover, though. This is like set in the future of the Marvel Universe. I guess so it aligns up with like the Weyland-Yutani Corporation story. So it takes place in the future, like Tony Stark's super old, Black Panther's super old, Carol Danvers is super old. But there's some interesting things going on here. It's not bad. The artwork is great. The story is solid. It's a solid book. It's not bad. It's not super great. It's not as great as I think it could be, but it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. And it's not bad. Let me show you some art. Starts off, Black Panther's old. He's got a son. He finds out the xenomorphs. There's this really cool concept about using the xenomorphs to just wipe out a planet. So there is some cool stuff here. There's some nice, if you're fans of Hickman's Fantastic Four run, you're going to find some stuff to appreciate in this run too. But I thought it was all right. I mean, it's all right. It's just all right. What is it? $8? Why is this $8? I for sure thought it was $5.99. This shit's $7.99, y'all. Okay. All right, go for that then. All right, then we got Phases of the Moon Knight, issue number 1. This is a new Moon Knight anthology because you can't have enough Moon Knight books. It's like, this is one of the problems with Marvel. It's like, Moon Knight, oh man, we got a Moon Knight book that's actually successful beyond 6 or 12 issues. Cool, let's do a bunch of Moon Knight series. The way to dilute the brand, but this is interesting enough. The first story in here is about the Shroud, who kind of took over for Moon Knight when Mark Spector died just a few months ago before they brought him back just a few weeks ago. So the first story is about that, and it kind of falls flat. It's all right. It's like nothing that we really needed to see. And then the second story was about a Moon Knight during the Crusade era. And I think that was the best part of this book. I really did like that. It's I don't want to reveal that. But you got Rod Reese doing the artwork in that bit. But I like the historically speaking, the Crusade era is an interesting era to study, right? And it's cool to see a Moon Knight from that era, albeit a very brief story, but I thought it was kind of the standout of that issue, so this was all right. All right. Then we got Chasm, Curse of Cain, issue number 1. I hate with all of the hate in my heart Ben Reilly being treated like this. I've been saying that. Like, ever since Dark Web, I was like, the idea of taking Ben Reilly and messing him up yet again and having him be this villain, Chasm, it's so out of his character. It does not work for me. And this issue did not work for me either. This is about Chasm and Hallows Eve being bad guys, and then Kane, who is the new Scarlet Spider, having to be like, yo, let me go stop Ben. This book sucked. It sucked. I did not like it. I did not like it at all. I hate Chasm. Chasm, that's stupid as hell, y'all. It's stupid as hell. All right. Then we got the Marvel 85th Anniversary Special. It's just another reason to try to get you to spend $8. All right. Hold on a second. $8 comic. $8 comic. Do you see the difference there? At least this Marvel 85th Anniversary Special feels like it has a heftier page count. I don't know how many pages are in here. Bear with me. I gotta get to work in an hour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. We're not gonna count the title page. 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. So more than a regular comic. 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41. 41 pages for $8. There is some cool stuff at the end. As I was flipping through it, I realized that yet again. All right, but then this is not worth the $8. Like, I don't think so. Like, there's a bunch of like just short anthology stories by decent enough creators. There's Steve Scro's story in there that's awesome. There's a Priest and Carlo Pagliuan cover story. There's an Alan Davis Excalibur stories from back in the day. So there's things in there for different people to enjoy, but overall it was just all right. My favorite was Yuji Kako or something like that, who did this manga-esque Moon Knight story in here that I really liked. That was the highlight to me of this $8 circle jerk is what that is. All right. We got Deadpool Team Up, issue number 1, Rob Liefeld's last hurrah, allegedly at Marvel. We've been told that before, but this is Rob Liefeld coming in to do another Deadpool book focusing on Deadpool and Wolverine and other characters teaming up. And we've seen the images. We know Hulk's involved. We know Major X is involved. We know that Chris Starr is involved, and that's pretty interesting. This is Rob Liefeld doing what Rob Liefeld does today, which is not quite at the level that he used to be, obviously, but I think it was a fun book. I think it was fun. I do like Rob Liefeld. I like the sense of energy that he brings to the industry and to the page. And I know a lot of people out there don't really like Rob Liefeld. You know what? I don't care about that. I do. But this is Deadpool's on a mission to find these like dragon eggs or some shit like that. But I don't know. I have a lot of fun when I like it whenever Rob Liefeld does anything. Whenever any of those dudes from back in the day do stuff today, I like it. Then we got Venom War Zombie Oats, issue number 1. That's a great cover. It looks like it's Juan Ferreira. I think it is. It is a dumb issue, though. It's a dumb issue. It's not an essential tie-in at all, and not that that's a big deal, but this is mostly Hellcat and She-Hulk and the D-list Sinister Six dealing with a zombiote outbreak during the Venom War. It was just dumb. I guess the artwork, I think a lot of people will like the artwork. It didn't necessarily 100% work for me artistically or story-wise. It just kind of fell flat, and this is a quick dash out, like I read this, I'm not going to read the other 2 or 3 issues or whatever it is. All right, then we got X-Men number 3. This is a snooze fest. This is one of the most boring issues of X-Men I've read, right? And the problem with Jed McKay's X-Men is it still feels way too connected to the Orcus stuff, to the Krakoan era. Like, I get that this isn't a new beginning, right? It feels more like this is the coda to the Krakoa era. It's the Krakoa coda, basically, right? And it's just throwing me off. And Ryan Stegman's artwork is not, I'm not saying his art's ever been precise and super clean, but this feels rushed. It feels I don't know. It just feels kind of rushed and pushed forward. And I don't like it. I don't like it. So far, out of all the new X-Men books, I've enjoyed Uncanny X-Men number 1. But X-Men is very quickly getting to the cutoff point for me, y'all. So it's got to do something major in the next issue to really keep my attention in this book, because I don't necessarily like the chemistry of the team. I'm just not really vibing with it. I'm not vibing with it right now. So we'll see what happens. What are you thinking about X-Men right now? We also got NYX this week, but I skipped that. It was a big week. I just skipped it. If you read it and it's good, you let me know. All right, then we got X-Force here with issue number 2. I didn't like this issue. I thought it was a cool setup in the first issue. I like Jeffrey Thorne. I think he's a really solid writer. The problem is I think that Jeffrey Thorne gets put into these unfortunate situations where his ideas get kind of constrained. And I feel like his ideas are getting constrained here. I don't know that. I don't know anything behind the scenes. I'm sure he's having a great time over at the X office right now. Marcus Toe's artwork is fine, but I don't really vibe with this team. It's Sage, it's Captain Britain, it's the Elizabeth, Captain Britain, Rachel. There's so many of these characters seem like they're not in the place where I think they should be, and it's just, I don't know, it's all right. The whole point of this X-Force book is that Forge has developed this technology that lets him know the immediate threat to the survival of the planet, and they go and X-Force their way through it. It's there was a lot of promise in issue number 1. Issue number 2 fell a little bit flat to me. I'm not saying it's bad. It wasn't dull and boring, quite like the X-Men issue, but It's hot as hell down here, by the way. Today might be the hottest day of the year. Ugh. It sucks sometimes in Alabama. All right, then we got Fantastic Four, number 24. Great Alex Ross cover. Not the cover of the week, but a great Alex Ross cover. I believe this is the last Alex Ross cover we're getting in this Fantastic Four run. I guess he had like a 24-issue contract or something like that. This is a dumb story. It's continuing the story from the last issue. There's this like alien, they're riding protons. I don't know. They try to focus in on Reed. It was way too verbose, way too wordy, and very clunky. But once again, I was exhausted yesterday, and it was a giant stack of comics, so maybe that affected my enjoyment of this book. But I think Ryan North's Fantastic Four run so far has been decent. I think it's been decent. It's got some highlights. It's got some lowlights. Sure, let's go with that. Ultimate X-Men issue number 6. Yes. They're probably the weaker of the issues so far. I know a lot of people haven't been jamming with this. I've been really liking it. I do like Peach Momoko's work. I think that she has some interesting ideas on composition, and I think she's got a great flow to her story. I'm very excited to have an X-Men book that's so removed from what X-Men typically is to most people, and it truly is doing something very different with the property of the X-Men, and it's leaning into like Japanese folklore, in particular like scary, spooky Japanese folklore. So there's elements of it I like. This one starts trying to tie a lot of stuff together. It sets up a lot of interesting stuff, honestly. But I know it's not everybody's bag of tea. I know it's not everybody's bag of tea or everybody's cup of nuts, but Ultimate X-Men is cool to me. But this was one of the weaker issues. But props to this, 6 issues in, and hold on. Peach Momoko has done every issue. Oh, wow. None of the other Ultimate books can do that. No other artist right now can do 6 issues monthly in a row. Just saying. All right, over at DC, we got the 0 Hour 30th anniversary special, so thank you, DC, for making us all feel old as fuck. Aside from that, this book was not good. 0 Hour is not good. It's not a good event. Me and Jelani covered it on a Comics Revisited episode. If you don't believe us, go check out that video. But 0 Hour is not a super cool event to begin with. It wasn't good. And this is a 30th anniversary special that's kind of all over the place. It's cool to see some of these returning artists. Kelly Jones, Tom Grummett, Paul Pelletier, some like 90s art. That's cool, man. That's awesome. But man, the story was so dumb. Like if you're like one of the 12 people out there, 13 if you include Dan Jurgens, that really think 0 Hour is just the shit, then buy this. If you don't care about 0 Hour at all, don't buy this. Don't buy this. It's really bad. It's not good. All right, then we got Absolute Power Task Force 7, issue number 5. This was a great issue of Task Force 7. This one focuses in on Velocity, who is the Flash-centric Amazo robot. Him chasing after Barry Allen, questioning things, trying to figure out how to vibrate through material. The use of the science jargon, which is very important to a successful Flash story by writer Alex Packnadell, is spot on. In fact, if Spy Spurrier leaves the Flash, Alex Packnadell needs to be writing it, because his ideas on the Flash family and his ideas on the Speed Force and the physics and the science behind that really stand out. I thought that was a super solid issue. Then we got Absolute Power Origins issue number 2. This was another great issue. John Ridley does a great job of kind of laying out the road to absolute power. It's all about Amanda Waller. In the first issue, you find out what happened in her life to set her on this path. In this issue, we see how she sets up the Suicide Squad, right? So it's throwing back to the original John Ostrander days, works a little bit as a prequel, gives us some new information, retcons some old information, and just makes it work. And John Ridley's use of character and dialogue is really sharp and spot on for me. This is something really interesting to help conceptualize more of Amanda Waller's motivations and how she got to where she's at. So I liked that book. I thought it was cool. Then we got Green Arrow issue number 15, an Absolute Power tie-in. Josh Williamson bringing it all together here. Oliver Queen is working with Amanda Waller, but the Green Arrow family are trying to figure out why. But at the same time, they're trying to help the heroes, right? By trying to find, who is it? It's the guy who created Amazo. Is it Morrow or is it the other one? I think it's Morrow. Anyway, they're going after the creator of him. The Tomorrow Woman is in here. It is Morrow because it's the Tomorrow Woman. Yeah. The Tomorrow Woman from the Grant Morrison JLA run. Connor Hawk and her have a little brief of moment here that reminds me of that one issue from the JLA run by Howard Porter and Grant Morrison. So that was cool. Nostalgia. But no, I've been liking Green Arrow, and this is how you do tie-ins. This is how you do tie-ins to events where you kind of make them not super essential where you have to buy all this stuff to understand the story. But when you do read it, you're like, oh, okay, that's cool. That like fleshes out that element of the story. So there you go. I liked it. Then we got Detective Comics 1088. I believe this is the penultimate issue of Ram V's run. I think he's got one more after this. And we are going to give Evan Cagle the cover of the week there for that very striking Mr. Freeze cover. I mean, come on, you got the snow globe, you got the freeze globe, you got the eyeglasses, everything in a great striking composition. What have I said before? I'll say it again. Operatic, romantic, tragic, gothic tale that is evergreen, evergreen, evergreen. And now all these elements are coming to a head. This is the finale. This is awesome stuff. All the pieces are coming together. Really interesting stuff. Ivo. Thank you, James. So it's Ivo, not Morrow. No, there's T.O. Morrow and there's Ivo. They're going after Ivo. Why is T.O. Morrow? They made Tomorrow Girl together. I remember now. Ivo and Morrow. Yeah. All right. Thank you. Thank you, James. All right. Then we got Flash here with issue number 12. Really bringing to a head the Cy Spurrier stuff that's been built up. Great high concept stuff. Amazing lettering by Hassan Otsman El How. I believe he's still the letterer here. He's totally the letterer. The lettering is so freaking amazing in this book. But this book has been challenging because of some of its high concepts, but it's got great use of the characters, a great use of their bond and their family-like ideas. I really like this book. I think it's super solid. I know a lot of people kind of weren't into it, but this is what I want out of Flash. I want some timey-wimey folding in on itself, high concept stuff. Cy Spurrier's doing a great job at that. And he's also at the heart, though, it's about the characters. It's about the core of the characters and their relationships. Batman Off-World, issue number 5, way too long since issue number 4. Threw me off completely. That's the problem with this book. Probably Doug Mahnke on the artwork is what caused the delay, because we've seen this delay on things like Swamp Thing Green Hell recently. It's a cool enough story. Batman's out there in space early in his career because he's like, oh man, they're aliens. I got to go figure out how to take care of them. He learns his lessons. He does, and that's cool, but it's just way too far removed from issue number 4. It causes a disconnect to the reader in the story, so the scheduling is what's hurting that book. Then we got Batman Dark Age, issue number 5. If the Allreds do a book, I'm going to read it, I'm going to love it, I'm going to tell you that I read it and that I loved it, and that's the same thing here. Mark Russell's playing around with some cool ideas. He's great at like satire. right? And so there's elements of it here, but not as heavy-handed as some of his work can be. So I really like this book. It is an interpretation of Batman's origin and mythology that's way different than most things that we typically see. But that Allred artwork just absolutely freaking slaps. Really great stuff. I love that like nice retro clean style that the Allreds bring to their work. Zatanna, Bring Down the House, issue number 3, DC Black Label. You get a little bit more about what this book is about explained here in issue number 3. I don't think it's as exciting story-wise as issue number 1 or 2, but I am a huge Zatanna fan, and I'm a huge fan of Javier Rodriguez's art, and the art in this issue is wild. It's psychedelic when it needs to be. It's grounded enough when it needs to be. The use of color is striking. Zatanna, we got the magic community after her for misuse of magic, but she's like, I don't even know how to do magic. I just know illusions, Michael. But I do illusions, Michael. A trick is what. Anyway, Zatanna, Bring Down the House, another solid issue. The artwork, though, really was the highlight there. Then we got Hellblazer, Dead in America, issue number 8. Cy Spurrier is killing it in the pages of John Constantine. Hellblazer, Dead in America from the Sandman Presents universe. Really great stuff here. Very much the feel and the vibe of the Vertigo Hellblazer run, and that's what I really appreciate. You have Lissandro Estrin here on the artwork, and the artwork is great. You're figuring out more of the crux of this story and how it's actually going to matter. John has to make another deal with Hell, so he goes to Hell to save Alec Holland's Swamp Thing. Really interesting stuff. I mean, if you're a fan of the Vertigo era of Hellblazer, you need to be reading that one. Then we got Nice House by the Sea, issue number 2. I was really taken aback at how much I enjoyed issue number 1. Nice House on the Lake lost me. I don't know if it's because the book lost me because of too many characters and it started getting confusing, or if it was the delays in its schedule that led to that. I still need to go and reread all of those issues in one sitting if possible, and then jump into here. Issue number 1, though, had a new cast of characters and a new house, but in the same kind of situation. I found these characters instantly more appealing than the characters in the first book. But then there was a big twist at the end of issue number 1, where it is still tied in to the characters from the first issue, and this goes back to those characters from the first series. And it loses me a little bit because once again, I'm like, wait, who are these people again? Come on, you just introduced me to this new, really cool and compelling cast of characters, and then you throw it right back to the characters that I can't remember. And the clunky nature of those characters that made me kind of fall out of the original series. So this one was a disappointment, just a little bit. Man, sweaty as hell, y'all. Jesus. It's already like, it's not 77 degrees. It doesn't feel like 77 degrees. All right. I think you're lying. All right. Then we got Prairie Gods, issue number 1. It seems like this is like an anthology type book that each issue is going to be kind of its own story, but it's not bad. This one is Race the Devil. Shane Connery Folk did the writing and the art. I like the art. It's basically this dude trying to race the devil out in the desert, but the usage of the cars and the sense of speed really does work. I mean, it's not groundbreaking. It's not going to change your life. But as far as like a horror-based anthology, this worked way better than Epitaphs from the Abyss, way better than Hello Darkness has been working for me. So this was just a nice, fun book that had some really great artwork. Very simple story, not going to change your life, not trying to change your life, just trying to tell a cool story about racing the devil. Then we got Flash Gordon, issue number 2. Another great issue of Flash Gordon. Jeremy Adams has been killing it. He was killing it on Flash. Now he's killing it on Green Lantern. Now he's slaying it right now with Flash Gordon. Absolutely amazing stuff. I have a lot of fun with this book. I'm not super connected to the character Flash Gordon. I've seen the movie, but I've never really read a bunch of the old comics or seen any of the old stuff or anything like that. But Flash Gordon, this book's fun. This is cool. Flash Gordon, Prison Escape, and Ming. He comes back up against Ming in this one, and there's a little bit of like a Gladiator-esque type take. This book has been good if you like the pulpy stuff, if you like adventure, excitement. A Flash Gordon fan craves these things. All right, then we got Flash Gordon Quarterly, issue number 1. Quarterly, $5.99. It's got a bunch of short stories and then one major story. The major story is The Fall of King Vultan. So it's about those flying dudes. I remember the flying dudes from the movie. So it's about that. It was all right. It was decent. And then there's like a Western version of Flash Gordon here and there, and there's like a noir. Yeah, there's like a Western version of the Flash Gordon story, and there's like a 40s noir version of the Flash Gordon story. This one was all right. Didn't really work for me. In fact, in a giant week like this, when Flash Gordon is good, and then you're throwing out a $5.99, even though it's quarterly, a $5.99 book on the same day on a huge week, that's probably a mistake. Then we got Berserker, The Lost Book of B. This is one of those giant $10 one-shots. And I'm kind of like, do I need to stop reading these? Do I need to stop reading these things? Like, I mean, I'm not saying it's bad. I liked this one. This is the story of Berserker of Keanu Reeves and Genghis Khan. It's interesting. It's cool. Ron Garney's back on the artwork. Matt Kent is doing the writing along with Keanu Reeves. But it's like, how often we go, didn't we not just have one of these? Are y'all tired of these $10 Berserker one-shots? Because I'm kind of tired of them. Even though, like, Steve Scrooge did one and it was cool. That last one with the Western one, it was decent enough, but the story was cliche and the art was bad. This one's a little bit better, but, like, I don't know. I think I'm falling out. I'm falling out of Berserker. Did he just say making fuck? Watch him. All right. Then we got Hello Darkness, issue number 2. It's all right. There's a Wes Craig story in here. Story's cool, but the artwork was amazing. His art was amazing in it. 100%. Look at that. Really, really great stuff. Wes Craig is just levels above right now. It continues the Garth Ennis, Becky Cloonan story. That's all right. This first story had some cool artwork, too. Some creepy stuff. I mean, Hello Darkness is all right. I mean, it's all right. It's all right. I mean, but the stories don't really feel like they have that punchy nature to them. But the art is really working for me in most of these stories. And I thought that each issue of Hello Darkness was supposed to have a new chapter in the new Erica Slaughter story. There's nothing in here. So I don't know what's up with that. But this is just kind of all right. Then we got Nemesis Rogues Gallery, issue number 2. Y'all, it's a big week. It's a big week. Nemesis Rogues Gallery, issue number 2. This is Nemesis trying to find his Robin. If Nemesis is an evil version of Batman, he's trying to find his Robin, and that's what's being set up here. And I had a lot of fun with it. It's not as good as the Big Game or the previous Nemesis series. Of course, you had some really great artwork there. And the artwork's okay here, but it is just a little bit stiff. And a little bit mean, but it's all right. It's all right. I'm still having fun with Nemesis. Archie, The Decision. It's one shot. It's written by Tom King. It's got artwork by Dan Parent. Dan Parent is quintessential modern Archie artist. So the art's perfect for what it is. This book is solicited and promised as being Archie finally making his decision between Betty and Veronica. I don't want to spoil anything, but I'm going to tell you this. That's bullshit. He does not make a decision in this issue, and it's just stupid. It's fucking stupid. It's stupid. And they lied to you. Don't buy it. Sorry. All right, then we got Barbaric versus Deathstalker. This is a one-shot comic that was a bunch of fun. Like, seriously, Deathstalker... I didn't finish that book, but it did have a sense of fun. Deathstalker, of course, based on the movie. Tim Seeley was writing that book. Barbaric, of course, the Michael Morisi, Nathan Gooden book. But Michael Morisi, Tim Seeley, and Nathan Gooden are working on this. This is not trying to change your life. It's not trying to elevate the medium or the art form in any kind of way. It's just trying to be crude, rude, stupid, and fun. And it is exactly that. And I had a lot of fun with this issue. Just a great one-shot comic. Now, it's a stacked week, but kind of some crappy stuff out there. So if you want something that's a little bit more pleasurably fun, check this one out. That one's $5.99. Comics are too expensive, don't y'all think? This one is not, though. This is $6.99, but definitely worth it. Savage Sword of Conan, issue number 4. This is a big Battle of the Black Stone issue. You've got a Conan story by Jim Zub. You've got a, what's her name? The character from the recent Conan the Barbarian comic. You got Brissa. You got a Brissa story by Jim Zub. You got the Solomon Kane story from Patrick Zurcher. You got Conrad and Kirwin, Dark Agnes, and El Borak. I thought this said Borat at first. So you're getting just a bunch of like little small stories about the characters that are going to be central to this whole Curse of the Black Stone thing. Oh, don't want to show that page. There's some effing going on there. But I really like this book. I think Savage Sword of Conan is just brilliant. I love it. I've said this before. I'll say it again. This reminds me of sneaking into my stepdad's closet to get his issues of Savage Sword of Conan just to see the sex and the violence and the gore and the horrific elements. This is bringing that back alive. This is one of the best books out there on the shelf. Then we got White Boat, issue number 2. I was really impressed with issue number 2 of White Boat. It is a big exposition-heavy issue that does a lot of explaining, but it does so in the midst of really great artwork from Francisco Francavilla. I am such a fan of his work, and I think that he's using the format, this magazine format, incredibly well. It's got that old-school horror kind of vibe to it. It's a bit Lovecraftian. And honestly, after reading the first issue of this like months ago, I was not expecting this to be the direction in which they went, but they did, and I'm all here for it. White Boat number 2 from Distillery. I really liked that one. But then we got Life, issue number 1. This is a flip book. So one story by Brian Azzarello, one by Stephanie Phillips, involving people in the future in prison. One story is about a dude who gets out of prison, and they're planning some kind of sci-fi heist. The other story is about a dude in prison who was a serial killer. I don't feel like they were connected. Brian Azzarello's dialogue in his story felt a little like... He does this thing where he used to do really good, solid, realistic dialogue, and now he tries too hard, I think, to make it clever, and it throws off the pacing for me. It really does. The Stephanie Phillips dialogue was a little bit better, but her story concept wasn't as solid. And I don't know. Maybe they are just doing it all together. And then you got Daniel Sajelj. Probably not how you say his name. I like the artwork. I like this cat. He did that book. What was the book he did with Brian Wood about the dude who was like the celebrity food chef? Oh, what was that book called? I liked that book. And I don't remember what it's called. Anyway, Life did not work for me. I thought it was a little whack. So... let's recap. Life did not work for me. White Boat did work for me. Savage Sword of Conan continues to just slap. Barbaric vs. Deathstalker is just stupid, crude, dumb fun. Archie, the decision sucked. They lie. He does not make a decision. It's so stupid. You paid Tom King for that? How did Tom King do that for free? Anyway, Nemesis Rogues Gallery is decent and solid. Hello Darkness has got some great art, but the stories need to be punchier for me. Berserker, The Lost Book of B. Y'all are losing me with these one-shots, man. I'm kind of getting tired of it. Flash Gordon Quarterly was aight, but Flash Gordon was tight. Oh, I feel bad for doing that. Prairie Gods, issue number 1. A really solid, self-contained story about racing against the devil with some nice, gritty, textured artwork. Nice House by the Sea. Started losing me because it goes too much into the original series. Hellblazer Dead in America, really great stuff, and building up to the climax of the run. Zatanna brings down the house. Great artwork, decent enough story. Then we got Batman Dark Age, just the Allrits doing Batman. Come on, y'all. Then we got Batman Off-World, decent enough, but way too far removed from the previous issue. The scheduling is messing that one up and hindering it. Then we got The Flash issue number 12, Cy Spurrier doing high concept stuff, but with the core and the root of family and friendship. That sounded so stupid. All right, then Detective Comics gets the cover of the week as we build up to the crescendo of the finale of Ron V's Detective Run. Green Arrow, that's how you do a tie-in right there. Task Force 7, really great stuff from Alex Packnadell. And the Absolute Origins, really solid. I like that one. 0 Hour, I mean, if you're like that one dude who loves 0 Hour, check it out, I guess. Fantastic Four didn't really work for me this week. Ultimate X-Men, maybe a step down, but at the same time, it was still interesting and appealing. X-Force was not working for me. X-Men was definitely not working for me. Venom War Zombie-Oats definitely was not working for me. Deadpool Team Up is aight. It's aight. I mean, I'm not going to oversell it. It's Rob Liefeld, and it's not his best. Then we got Marvel 85th Anniversary Special. That was a little bit whack, but there is a cool Moon Knight story in there. Aliens vs. Avengers could have been a lot better, but it was still decent. Way too expensive for what it is. Phases of the Moon Knight, it's alright. Chasm, Curse of Cain sucks. Last Mermaid's great, got the smell of the week. Drawing Blood, Kevin Eastman biography, but fictionalized version of it. Having a lot of fun with that. Spawn Kills Every Spawn. And King Spawn. Loved both of those Spawn books this week. Saga, do what Saga do. We had over 200 people live. I don't know if we've ever had over 200 people live for any live stream that we've ever done here on PCP. So thank you all so much. The Sacrificers and Grommets were amazing. Got a Transformers #1 facsimile. Void Rivals, Transformers fans, you got to check out what's going on in Void Rivals. Convert was a really interesting book. I liked that, had a lot of fun with it. But the pick of the week goes to Universal Monsters Frankenstein. Amazing Michael Walsh artwork and a story set within the original Universal classic by James Whale. All right. What was that sound? All right, thank you so much for checking out the video. We really do appreciate it. Y'all rock. And yeah, over 200 during the live stream. Station, y'all are the best. What are you reading? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. If you're watching this on the replay, thank you. If you watched it live, really, seriously, thank you. That's, I think, the most we've ever had on a live stream here, y'all. You rock. All right, I gotta get to work and sling some comic books. Y'all have a good one. Station, pop, pop, boom. Keep on reading.